So board meeting. Now board of directors, when they meet up to decide something important in the company, that is called as a board meeting. Here usually they will have routine company matters or provisions to be discussed upon. Apart from that, they will also have more policies to be framed, or if there is any change in any part of law which has to be implemented, they will join for a board meeting. Then before the conduction of meetings, it may be any sort of meeting, that is annual general meeting, extraordinary general meeting, before any of such meeting they will again meet uh, and have a meeting that is known as board meetings. So whenever the management does a meeting where board of directors and all of them will be present, so that is board meetings. So what are the provisions under companies law and when they have to be held upon? So firstly, this the first board meeting has to be held by every company within 30 days of its incorporation. Once they start the company, within 1 month they are supposed to have the board of directors meeting. Why they are supposed to have that? The main reason is they would have collected good amount of money in the form of shares. Now all this accounting has to be done only after the board meeting. So board meeting is compulsory to be conducted within 30 days of the incorporation, that is the new company. And then according to Companies Act 2013, not more than 120 days shall intervene between two consecutive board meetings. So within 120 days they should do the meeting. Suppose they have done a meeting today, now within next 120 days they are supposed to do the second meeting. Now which means in a year they are supposed to have 4 meetings. Every quarter of the every quarterly meeting of the board has to happen, so that they know what is the status of the company, at what level the company is working, is there any changes that is required to be done, and major decisions which are supposed to be taken in consent with shareholders also can be discussed in the board meeting. So here 4 of the board meetings has to happen in 1 year, wherein the gap between one meeting and another should not be more than 120 days. So more than 4 months they cannot take. Okay, so that is board meeting provisions. Now let us see what are the secretarial duties under conduction of board meeting. Now always whenever you see the secretarial duties, it will be in the 3 different timing, that is before the meeting, at the meeting, after the meeting, and few points are similar. So keep in mind those known points and make sure you write them for every answer that they ask about secretarial duties. Now here first one, before the meeting. Now a company secretary's job is to schedule the meeting, where the time, date, place, when it is happening, all that the company secretary has to fix it. Then they have to send the notice. Now in case of annual general meeting, the notice will go to the shareholders. In case of statutory meeting also, the notice will go to the shareholders and the directors. Now in case of extraordinary general meeting, the notice will go to the directors and few shareholders who have more number of shares. When it comes to board meeting, since it is only the meeting between board of directors, the notice is being sent to every director. So every director has to be present for the board meeting and they have to attend it. And then duty to prepare agenda. Now agenda is the list of the meeting. What all programs that we are going to do in the meeting has to be listed. Now programs means not entertainment. I'm talking about what are the activities, what are the discussions we have to do. That will be the agenda. So once they prepare the draft agenda, now company secretary alone will not do all of this work. Now company secretary in uh, in contact with the major board of director or executive person or management, they will prepare the agenda. Then duty to make available of documents regarding agenda. Now suppose in the board meeting we want to discuss about the new companies act and its impact. Now we'll have to keep the new companies act ready, that is the document ready, and how does it impact our company, that information has to be kept ready. Usually they will prepare the slides, the ppts and all that, they will keep it ready, so that when in the board meeting it is easy for them to show that and explain what they really are trying to say. So they will make all the necessary documents available. And apart from that, if there are any pending uh, matters that has to be discussed, that also will be taken down to board meeting. So they will discuss all of them. Then once that is done, then duty to inform stock exchange. Now when is that duty to inform stock exchange? There is the explanation given. If it is proposed to declare dividend, whether interim or final, or issue right shares or allot bonus shares, a secretary has to inform stock exchange 2 days before the meeting. So it means in all these cases there will be some changes happening with the shares that is being given to the shareholders. So that is why they have to inform the stock exchange. Okay, which are the which are the situations they will inform? Whenever they pay interim dividend in between the year, if they are giving the dividend, and if the board of directors have decided to pay the dividend, then it is called as interim dividend. And that interim dividend which has to be given to the shareholders, that is why they have to inform the stock exchange. Or if they are giving the final dividend, maybe there was some delay in payment of dividend, so they are giving it late, so at that time for payment of dividend to all shareholders, they have to inform the stock exchange, because stock exchange is the place where they deal with the shares. Buying, selling, both can be taken care of. Then issue of right shares. Now right shares are shares issued to the existing shareholders. Okay, we have learned this. So existing shareholders who are there, I'm first, the company is going to request them to buy the shares and invest in the company. Once if they have done that, or once that is taken care of, then they will issue these right shares to the other people. So these right shares has to be issued to the public. And since there is a difference in the shares, they have to take care of, or they have to inform the stock exchange. Then they have to allot bonus shares. Now allotment of bonus shares, these are extra shares that will be given to the shareholders. The amount will not change for the shareholders, just the number of shares will increase. So in that scenario, again, since the number of shares are going to increase, they will have to have the they'll have to inform the stock exchange about the increase in number of shares, and that proportion of increase also has to be informed to the stock exchange. When we are giving all of these things, that is declare dividend, interim, final dividend, or issuing the shares to the existing shareholders, or allot bonus shares, all of these cases, the secretary, company secretary has to inform the stock exchange 2 days before the meeting. And then at the meeting, at the time of the meeting, what all they have to do? To obtain the signatures of the directors. Now since it is a meeting for board of directors, all the directors signature has to be taken, so they have to obtain the signatures of the directors. Then to ascertain the quorum. Quorum is the minimum number of members that has to be present in the meeting. So the company secretary has to decide how many people will form the minimum number of members to start the meeting. So as per company law, if you have 1/3 of total strength or two directors, so no matter how many of them are there, 1/3 of the total strength or two directors, whichever is higher, whichever is more. Now, if at all one third of the total strength will come to only one director, and other than that, or two directors. Now here one or two, two is higher. So if two directors are there in the meeting, it means we can start the meeting. Now why do they give this minimum number of directors count? Because once we have the minimum number of directors, we can start the meeting and we can do the decision. If the minimum number of directors are not present, then in that case we will have to postpone the meeting. Okay, so the company secretary has to obtain the signatures of the directors whoever are present, and then we have to ascertain the quorum. Quorum is the minimum number of members, and then to start the meeting and read the notice and state the agenda of the meeting. So company secretary in every meeting has to start the meeting and read the notice. So reading of the notice is the work of company secretary, and then they will also have to talk about the agenda of the meeting. Agenda of the meeting is the particulars that is mentioned in the meeting. To assist the chairman in conduct of the meeting. Now here company secretary will not only talk about the agenda or notice or anything. They also have to help the chairman about the conduction of the meeting. Now chairman might not know complete information that is happening with the shares or anything, though they have to be informed. So that is why they will be assisting the chairman and helping the chairman with the necessary information that has to be spoken in the directors meeting or board meeting. So that is the next point. Then to get the minutes of the previous meetings confirmed. To get the minutes of the previous meeting, sorry. So minutes of the previous meeting is what all happened in the previous board meeting. They have to discuss and they have to know about it. Okay, now why they have to maintain this minutes of the meeting? It is because we will not have a track on what is happening. So that is the main reason why they'll have to get the minutes of the meeting. That's why company secretary makes note the minutes of the meeting, and from this meeting to the previous meeting, they will see what all was discussed and what was left out. That left out points or portions can be taken care in this meeting. So that's why they have to have the minutes of the meeting. Then to take the notes of the proceedings of the meeting. Now previous minutes of the meetings were considered. Now they have to take the current meetings proceedings. Whatever they are discussing in today's meeting, that has to be taken care of. So that is notes of the proceedings of the meeting. So before the meeting, they'll have to arrange for the meeting, prepare the agenda, send notice to every director, inform stock exchange in certain scenarios. During the meeting, the company secretary has to get the signatures of the directors in required forms or formats, and then the company secretary has to ascertain the quorum, the minimum number of members. Then they have to start the meeting by reading the notice and also giving the agenda of the meeting, and then to assist the chairman in conduct of the meeting. Whenever the meeting is happening, the chairman of the meeting, the head of the particular meeting, has to be helped upon. And then previous meetings, whatever discussion had happened, that list has to be confirmed and provided, and present today's meeting, whatever is going on, that also has to be summarized. So this is during the meeting or at the meeting. Now coming to after the meeting, there are certain duties that has to be done by company secretary. The first and foremost is the preparation of minutes. Now whatever had happened in the board meeting, they are supposed to prepare the summary of all of them. So that will be the preparation of board meeting. minutes of the meeting. Now this minutes of the meeting has to be carefully and safely preserved, because in the next board meeting we are going to refer to them. So that is after the meeting, the first duty. And if you see in every meeting, may it be statutory meeting, uh, annual general meeting, board meeting, class meeting, extraordinary meeting, everywhere, the company secretary's main job after the meeting is to prepare the minutes of the meeting and get the signatures. Now, getting the signatures is very important, because that says that shareholders or directors or anybody for that matter has agreed with whatever discussion that has happened in the meeting. Okay, so that is the first duty. Now the next duty is duty to inform stock exchange regarding the dividend declared. Suppose in the board meeting they give out the dividend saying it is interim dividend, then in that case they'll have to take the meeting. They have to inform the stock exchange regarding the interim dividend that has been given. Now, interim dividend, I already told you, it is the dividend which is issued or which is given in the middle of the year. So, that is interim dividend. Then, dividend declared or issue of new or bonus shares or right shares. So, suppose we are issuing bonus shares, how much is the proportion that we are issuing and how much people will get? So, we have to inform that also for the share stock exchange. Then duties to carry out the decisions or instructions of board meeting and register resolutions with registrar. Now there will be registrar of companies, that is ROC. Now whatever meeting we do, whatever decisions we take, that has to be filed. One copy of the resolution has to be filed with the registrar, that is ROC, who will be filing that or who will be keeping that as a track. So these are the provisions under the board meeting, and secretarial duties are the very important points which can be asked in the examination for 14 marks. So these are the types of meeting which we have learnt. Okay, any doubts until here? Now, important terminologies. First one is motion. Before meeting of a company, all the matters are placed in the form of proposals. Now, proposals are called as motion. Okay, according to Companies Act. Now, these are some proposals. Maybe a business proposal, an expansion of business proposal, all that are called as motion when it is kept in the meeting where it has to be discussed. Okay, so that is motion. Then amendment. Amendment is any modification, any type of modification that has to be done to this proposal, that is motion, before it is put into vote. Now what will happen in a annual general meeting? They will say, or they will explain it to the shareholders, saying that, see, we want to start a new stream of business. Now let us take ITC. Now ITC has called for an AGM, for example, and ITC is saying that ITC wants to be a part of hotel industry. They already are into hotels. I'm just giving an example. Now many people would be willing to invest, and many people will say, no, that is more riskier. I don't want my money to be put into the hotel industry sector. Okay, so that is why first they will be given the chance to vote if the shareholder is okay or not for the business to expand into a particular stream. So that is the scenario of voting. Now in this motion, that is the business proposal of starting a new stream of business, if I make any modifications, okay, little modifications, that will is called as amendment. Okay, any sort of modifications that is done for the business proposal is called as amendment. You can also see a lot of amendments when it comes to Companies Act. Now, Companies Act will make a lot of changes every year based on the scenario that is happening in the country, and they will be giving amendments. Now, these amendments are the changes that are newly done for the particular year, and that will be applicable from that year on. Okay, they'll give a particular date from when it will be applicable. So, those are amendments. Then minutes. Minutes are the whatever meeting we are doing, if we record that, if we write down, okay, if we document it, that is called as minutes of the meeting. Once we document the meeting proceedings, or whatever they were discussed in the form of video, writing, audio, okay, so all the decisions that is taken in the meeting, everything will be called as minutes. Then coming to resolutions, very formal decisions that we take for the proposals is called as resolution. Okay, so it says formal decision of a meeting on any motion before it. Now, I told you ITC, let's say ITC wants to get into the hotel segment. Now, in the meeting, if everybody is okay with that, everybody has voted yes, then a resolution will be passed, a formal decision will be passed stating that ITC is going to start its hotel chain. So, that is resolution. Then adjournment. Now, before going to adjournment, did you all understand the first few terminologies here? Any doubts in the first few terminologies?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Now, moving further is the adjournment. Now, adjournment means we are postponing. So, it is suspending the meeting for now, and we will continue it later. Now, say suppose we are conducting a company meeting and we don't have any people coming that day. Let's say it's raining very, very heavily and none of the directors have come, none of the shareholders have come. Okay, now what we will do is they will adjourn the meeting. You would have heard even in the court, they would say the court is adjourned for today, which means the court is suspended. They have stopped working for today. Okay, now once they have stopped working for today, they will continue it later, or they'll say this case has been adjourned to, they will give one different date. It means it is postponed. They have postponed the meeting onto a later particular date. So that is adjournment. Then dissolution. Dissolution means they will stop and they will permanently stop the meeting there. They will not continue or they will not postpone the meeting. Here it is termination of meeting. So if one of the director dissolves the meeting, it means that the meeting has ended and it will not happen once again. So that is dissolution of a meeting. Then postponement. Postponement is we are just putting the meeting, or we are making we are going to have a meeting later at a different point of time. We were supposed to have it now, but then due to some reason it is not happening. So we are deferring it. We are putting it further. So that will become the postponement of the meeting. Okay, so these are adjournment, dissolution, and postponement. Next, ballot. Now, ballot is a method of voting. You would have heard about ballot box, right? So this, according to this method, normally a piece of paper called ballot is provided to each member of meeting to vote. The candidates' names are printed or written in the alphabetical order on the ballot card. The person who votes has to put a cross mark against the name he is going to elect. Finally, the votes are counted and the chairman announces the result. So you remember how we were casting vote before? Before, they used to give a sheet of paper. We have to put, there will be a seal. We have to put the seal on that particular party name or the symbol, and then put that paper into one ballot box. Okay, there will be a box kept. with a small opening, we have to put that into the box. Now that paper where we put the seal is called as ballot. Okay, the paper where we put the seal is called as ballot, and the box where we put that paper is called as a ballot box. Later they will open the ballot box, they will count the papers separately, how many of them have put the seal for number 1, how many of them have put the seal for number 2, number 3, number 5, like that they will count, and they will announce the result. Like how election happens, in a similar way this voting in the company also takes place. So that is the ballot method. Now here, this ballot method is usually used to elect a director. If they want to have a new director for the company, that is how they do the voting. If they want to have a new chartered accountant to the company, that is how they'll be doing it. Okay, the names of them will be written in the alphabetical order, and one has to put a cross mark against the name they have selected, and then they'll put it into the ballot box, and later they will count and chairman will announce the result. Understood ballot box? Okay. Now, next, acclamation. If the members of the meeting expresses their approval or disapproval of a motion through applause, clapping, or cheering, it is called voting by acclamation. So here in the meeting, what will happen when they show the approval? When if they love the proposal, they will start clapping, banging the tables, cheering. Clapping and applause is all same. So if they like it, they show their approval through, they will show the approval through all this means, and this, that is known as, and that is known as the acclamation. Now that is voting by acclamation, that also can be considered. Then agenda. See, if you happen to realize, in the meeting of companies, every gesture that they do will be counted. Okay, next, agenda. Agenda is the list of the items that has to be discussed in the meeting. So that is known as agenda. Whatever is there in the list, all that has to be discussed in the meeting, and that is called as agenda of the meeting. Then quorum. Quorum, we already know, the minimum number of members that is required to start a meeting is called as quorum. Then class meetings. So class meetings are which are held by holders of a particular class of shares. Now class meeting, we have heard that if it's equity share meeting, only equity share holders will be there. If it is preference shareholders meeting, only preference shareholders will be present in the meeting. So that is class meeting. And then voting. Now we have seen the type of voting. They can raise their hand and vote, they can shout and vote, okay, and they can use the ballot box to vote. Okay, they can clap, they can applaud, cheer, and also they can show their approval and disapproval. So all these are types of voting. Here voting means we are giving our decision in a representative form. We are saying, see, this is what we are trying to do, so we want this to come. We are showing it in a representative form. So that is voting. Then proxy. Any member entitled to attend and vote at a general meeting may appoint another person in their place. So that is known as proxy. If I am not able to go to the meeting, I can send one of my friend to the meeting by giving a proxy form for them, or I can also send let's say one of my relative, or I can send my husband, or a husband can send wife for the meeting where there will be proxy. Now proxy will not have right to speak. Okay, in rare cases they will have right to vote. So that is proxy. So these are few of the important words, terms that that is always you have to understand with regarding to the meetings. So clear? Any doubts? Any doubts in this chapter until here? Everybody understood? Okay, good, good.